a couple of case studies. The first one has to do with somebody who sent me a buy-sell agreement. So let's say you have a prospect who says she has an existing buy-sell agreement. You say, great. Your response is, I'd be glad to have it reviewed for you at no charge to make sure it's going to do what you think it's going to do. And let's say you get a buy-sell agreement like this one. So what I'd invite you to do is to take 20 seconds, look it over, and see if you can spot the problem with this buy-sell agreement. Go. Did you spot the problem? The header for the section of the buy-sell agreement says mandatory purchase upon death of a member. But if you look at the language, what does the language say? It says upon the death of any member, the estate of the deceased member may sell to the company. And that's a problem. This is an optional, a voluntary buy-sell agreement, and for the deceased member and for the surviving members, it's just a suggestion. It isn't mandatory. It doesn't require anybody to do anything, and so nobody can really rely on what's here. From my perspective, a mandatory buyout is much better. You can make plans around it. You can fund for it. You can make plans for how the business is going to operate if the language is mandatory. So in the same buy-sell agreement, I ran across this language. Go ahead and take about 30 seconds and take a look at this and see what your impressions are. Go ahead. So what's the problem with this kind of language in a buy-sell agreement? Well, from my perspective, you can't predict what the buyout price is going to be on the front end. It's hard to fund for, hard to make plans around. This puts off the discussion or fight over valuation for another day, and it makes the process really complicated and expensive. It wouldn't be the kind of thing that I would recommend to clients that they put in their documents. And so what would be better from my perspective? Well, I think it's better if there's a fixed price in the buy-sell agreement that is completely predictable. The potential problem with a fixed price agreement is that the price could be stale. Usually there's some mechanism in buy-sell agreements where a fixed price is set that the owners of the company are going to come back and revalue the company on an annual or a biannual basis to kind of figure out what the new value might ought to be. The problem with that is that in a lot of cases our clients don't go back to their lawyer and revalue the company. So my own personal preference is for a formula to be put in a buy-sell agreement for how to value the business and to tie the formula to reliable business metrics so that there really isn't much argument over what the value will be in the event of one of the owner's deaths. So buy-sell planning is not a panacea. It is certainly possible, as we mentioned earlier, for clients' estate planning documents to make a business continuation plan happen. It's certainly possible for somebody to sell during lifetime to family or somebody else. It's certainly possible to make gifts of closely held business interests to family members. I guess my only point to you is this. Buy-sell planning is not the only path. Keep an open mind as you're talking to your business owner clients about what it is that they're trying to do. If you keep an open mind and listen carefully, you're going to get more than enough opportunities to fit life insurance in as part of the overall plan for your clients and prospects. Let's take a quick look at case study number 2. I'm going to give you just 30 seconds to read it, and we'll summarize it and then wrap this up. So this is a typical case from the real world. There's no easy solution to this case. I have my own ideas. You may have formulated your own ideas for how you might approach this problem. My main point for showing you this case study is that if you engage the client in the business continuation conversation, no matter what the outcome, the client will certainly be better off after having had the conversation with you, because the plans will at least be half formulated, and the client will be able to think about what might happen if something happens to the client. One possible approach to this particular case under these facts is to break the buy-sell planning into a right now and a future element. And the right now element would be the one that you would solve. And you might solve the problem for the next 5 years by leaning on Ryan with a one-way buy-sell approach, and then reevaluate after 5 years to the possibility of a long-term solution that involves Randy. It's not the only way to approach this problem, but it might be the right approach under these particular circumstances. So, to start to wrap this up, we talked today about reviewing buy-sell agreements and how important that is, and how important it is to help people think through the business continuation process. There is a two-part think about it issue that we've written and are making available to you free of charge, which reinforces today's presentation. Inside the two-part issue of think about it, there is a checklist for things that ought to be looked for in existing buy-sell agreements, and also ought to be thought about being included in new buy-sell agreements. If you email me at the email address listed on the screen, linus.tsougas@advancedunderwriting.com, we'll be happy to email you the two-part issue. Also, for those of you who are interested in reading more about this topic, consider purchasing the book, which will be available on Amazon.com soon, Sell Out: The Busy Entrepreneur's Guide to Transferring a Closely Held Business. So, thanks for joining us today on this comprehensive buy-sell planning webinar. In conclusion, I'd like to make just a few points. First of all, when you're working in this market, let your entrepreneur client talk about her or his own business. Most entrepreneurs are proud of what they've built and are happy to talk about how they achieved success. In my experience, the best agents listen closely during the conversation and are able to pick up bits of information that will be helpful in shepherding the client through the business continuation planning process. Second, I didn't talk about this, but this is really important. Don't let the entrepreneur get away with describing broad plans for the continuation of the business without you, as the agent, being an accountability partner. For example, I've had an entrepreneur tell me in the past that his plan for business continuation was for his wife to continue to run the business after his death. Now, fortunately for me, the wife was also sitting at the table during the conversation. After he said this, I turned to her and asked her if she was interested in running the business if her husband wasn't around. She was not. It was clear to me that the spouses needed to get on the same page with regard to plans, and that they needed to have a joint vision before I could successfully help them. And then third, be open-minded about how you might help a client. For example, a buy-sell agreement is not the right business continuation plan in every situation. In some families, making a plan to transfer the business to the next generation by will at death is a perfectly reasonable solution. Don't get caught up in one-size-fits-all solutions. If agents listen closely, every situation reveals an opportunity to serve, and most will generate sales opportunities as well. I wish you continued success in the business owner marketplace, and thanks again for joining us today. Lisa, will you wrap us up?
Sure thing. Thank you, Linus, for your time and your expertise. And thank you, everybody else, for joining us today. As a reminder, to get the two complimentary issues of Think About It, feel free to email Linus at linus.tsougas@advancedunderwriting.com. And you can also email questions related to today's webinar And finally, for more information about the services that we at Advanced Underwriting Consultants offer, including phone consultation and newsletter licensing, please feel welcome to contact me at 615-224-1291. That's 615-224-1291. Thanks again, and best wishes for continued success. Have a great day.